I've been wanting to do this video for quite some time now. Basically, it's a video about PLAB exams, and if you are hoping to prepare for the exam halfway through the journey, or just completed your exam and then worried about your results, well, this video should give you some sense of direction and some sense of advice and hope as well. Right, so we'll start with the most important thing that I think is vital to understand, that preparing for this exam is a very subjective journey. So what may work for somebody may not necessarily work for you. So realizing that and understanding that is extremely important. Right, there's a three-step process depending on whether English language proficiency is required. One, if that is required, you might have to complete IELTS and OET. Once you're done with that, through your GMC, you apply for your PLAB 1. These days, getting a PLAB 1 seat, it's an extreme sport in itself because the demand is very high and many people are working very hard to get a seat. Once you book a seat for PLAB 1, you do your exams. It's 180 CQ question, yeah, and the pass mark is around 117 to 120. Once you're done with that, you book for PLAB 2. Again, there's sometimes a wait between 3 to 6 months, and then you have to come to Manchester in the UK. That's the only place where you can do the exam, and you sit for a OSCE exam. And then once you've got your results, you could either go ahead and apply for provisional registration or full registration. You're halfway through the journey, that is, you've done your PLAB 1, and then now you're hoping to do your PLAB 2. This is where most of the time the confusion arises, because it's a completely different ball game of preparation compared to PLAB 1. So here's where candidates often start. Well, this was common for me as well. Which academy to go to, which resources do I read, who do I practice with, do I do mock exams, etc. If you're there right now, three main concepts that I consider important to understand before you answer these questions. As I said, it's a subjective exam. Principle number one is that you need to understand the rules of the game. So what I mean by this is you need to understand the format of the exam. You need to understand what they're assessing you with, whatever knowledge that they require you to have, and how they assess you. So, for example, what criteria do they assess you with? So they assess you with three criteria. Number one is data gathering. That is, whether you can gather information while you're having a consultation with the patient. This can come in the form of getting a focused history. This could be in the form of physical examination or by looking at lab values, for example. So how do you gather data? And then the second thing that they assess you upon is medical management. So the problem here is they're not necessarily looking for focused medical management alone. They're looking at a very holistic approach of management. So often candidates are very good with their medicine, but unfortunately overlook managing the whole situation as such, because patients don't only come into the doctors or the hospitals just a medical condition. So the principle here is to be able to manage a situation rather than a condition. So understanding that is extremely important when it comes to management. 3 is interpersonal skills. How empathetic are you? How sympathetic are you? And this has to be natural, not very artificial as well. So these are some of the places that we need to, as candidates, be aware of. Point number 2 is to make a honest assessment of yourself. Candidates or doctors come into this journey in various stages of their career. Some come in as soon as they've completed their internship. Some are coming in after a clinical gap of 2 to 5 years. And then a few others are in routine practice, and this is basically bread and butter to them. Having an honest assessment in regards to whether you could, how good are you with getting a focus history? How good are you with managing a situation? How good are you with the guidelines? How good are you with medical management? How good are you with your communication skills? An honest reflection on an assessment has to be made. The third point into consideration, that is to choose the right resources. Now, under this point is where you think about academy, whether you need to practice with friends, whether you need to attempt mocks, whether you need to, whatever resources do you have to read, comes under this point. Most often than not, we tend to follow what everybody else follows. And as I told you, it's a subjective exam, and then what may work for somebody else may not necessarily work for you, and then you get confused when your results come out. Having access to the right type of resources are extremely important, because again, it is like getting a map with wrong destination. You might work very hard, you might work diligently, you might put in all the effort, but in the end, you might only end up in the wrong destination. So taking a look into what resources might help is extremely important. So anyway, I'm going to put a link down below where you can put in your questions. That way I might be able to direct you and help you based on your individual situation. So the next thing is, if you've already done the exam and you are feeling dejected, worried and confused about what your results might be, sleepless nights, anybody who knows does the exam will be able to relate to this. It applied to me as well. I finished the exam, came back home and was ready to repeat the exam because I thought, okay, I'm going to fail. But most often than not, statistically speaking, 65 to 70% of candidates actually do better than they expected to do so. So if you are in that boat of worry, just remember there's a very good chance that you'll actually do better than you expect to do. So those are the 3 things that I really wanted to focus on in this video. Subscribe to the channel if you like. I'll upload more videos to help any of you, regardless of what point of the journey you are in. I mean, if you're planning to sit with the exam, if you're halfway through, or just completed the exam, to help you with this journey. So subscribe to the channel and keep in touch, and I'll see you soon.